Yunchinch Number 1 Middle School, Class 3 and 4 of Senior High School. Gruo sat in the penultimate row of the classroom, by the window, with her left hand covering her right eye and looking out the window. On the podium, the teacher was spitting out something. Gruo pretended not to care, but actually listened very carefully. Students, the college entrance examination will take place in 3 days. The teacher has nothing to do with you, but only hopes that you will survive by then. Gruo's mouth twitched. Even though it's been 2 months since he passed by, he's still not very used to it. It's outrageous that people will die even in the college entrance examination. But there is no way, the big environment is there. In the year 2025, the mysterious land came, countless demons ran rampant, an alien cholera. Humans resisted, but the advent of the secret realm brought something they called aura. This thing is of great benefit to living beings, but it makes some chemical reactions extremely slow. As a result, the technological weapons that human beings depended on for survival at that time were almost completely ineffective. At that time, human beings almost went extinct. Fortunately, in the long-term confrontation, human beings have gradually mastered their power, and martial artists have become an important force for human beings to resist demons and aliens. Today, hundreds of years have passed. Technology has been developed again, but it is much more developed than the world before Gruo crossed over. Of course, the more important thing is martial arts. In this world, the whole people respect martial arts and respect martial arts. The strong can sever mountain ranges with one palm, and even more, the flesh can cross the cosmic starry sky. The end is extremely powerful. Therefore, in this big environment, all children will practice martial arts since childhood, and when they take the college entrance examination, they will be put into a secret realm that has long been controlled by humans for trials. Although it has already been controlled, but after all, it is really in the face of killings, and accidents also occur from time to time. To this day, the annual college entrance examination still has a mortality rate of more than 10%, and more. It is because of fear that the monster cannot be hunted and falls off the list. There are 2 college entrance examinations, the literary test and the martial arts test. The literary test had ended as early as the 2nd year of high school. At that time, Gruo had not yet passed through, but according to his memory, his grades were good at that time. On the podium, the teacher kept instructing some precautions for the college entrance examination, which were all clichés, but no students in the classroom felt impatient. Jingle bell. When the bell rang for the end of class, the head teacher took a deep look at the students below, as if to engrave the appearance of all the students in his mind. Dear classmates, you must survive. Your last homework in high school, this exam, you can't miss it alone. Remember. Remember. The students responded enthusiastically. The head teacher waved his hand and said, "Okay, after class, remember to come to me to hand in your homework after the exam." After speaking, he left the classroom. The classmates in the class suddenly started chatting. There are worries and excitement, but in the end, no one is afraid, and no one plans to give up. Gruo got up, draped her school uniform over her shoulders, covered her eyes and walked out of the classroom. Classmates. At this time, the squad leader Liang Shixian stood up and said, "I think our squad should be united, and then we will work as a team in the secret realm of Wan Beast Mountain." He called on everyone to put safety as the primary goal. If there is a chance, try to hunt down monsters. If possible, everyone can even be admitted to a good university through cooperation. The students naturally agreed that teamwork is possible during the martial arts exam. That's not cheating. Fighting demons and aliens is never a person's business. Gruo naturally agreed. How many people are powerful? However, Liang Shixian found out that Gruo had been covering his eyes, and asked, "Gruo, what's wrong with your eyes?" Gruo snorted coldly and said, "Humph! You won't understand even if you say it, I am the reincarnation of the evil king, and this eye is the true eye of the evil king, which seals the power to destroy the world. All the students. Liang Shixian's toes were buttoned in the shoes. It's so embarrassing. You. Forget it, remember to follow us when the time comes. Oh, don't worry, I will protect you. Liang Shixian. However, at this moment, Gruo let go of the hand covering his eyes, changed one hand, covered the other eye, and said, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. A classmate couldn't help but said, don't you have power sealed in your eyes? Why did you change your hand? Gruo sneered, this deity's hand is sore, can't you? They are used to it. Recently, Gruo's brain doesn't seem to be very normal. Anyway, go back and prepare well, the college entrance examination is not a trivial matter. Liang Shixian instructed. Don't worry, this deity is very clear. Gruo kept covering her eyes as she walked out of the school, and when her hand was sore on the way, she changed one. Suddenly he sighed, put his hand down, and said helplessly, sure enough, isn't it enough to be a middle school student? How should this achievement be triggered? Of course, it may also have something to do with his crappy middle school. He was never a middle schooler in his past and present life. Gruo went to the supermarket in front of her house and bought a bag of rice. Xiaoruo, there will be a martial arts exam in a few days, are you sure? The supermarket cashier auntie knew Gruo and asked with a smile. Gruo said confidently, of course, otherwise what would I do when I buy this bag of rice and go home? The auntie cashier was taken aback, speaking of which, I remember that you bought a bag of rice the day before yesterday. What did you buy this bag for? Gruo smiled mysteriously, auntie, let me tell you, don't say it outside. Yes. She nodded seriously, thinking that Gruochen had some secret to tell her. Gruo whispered, I'll take it back to practice iron sand palm. And, et. Gruo smiled, to be honest, that bag 2 days ago, I couldn't control the heat when I was practicing iron sand palm, it's already cooked. And. Ha, ha, if you're happy, xiao xiao. She was a little puzzled, this child used to be quite normal. Why have you suddenly become so naive recently? Gruo said goodbye to her with a smile, and walked out of the supermarket with rice. By the way, I inserted one hand directly into the rice. The feeling of the whole hand being wrapped in rice made Gruo couldn't help showing a comfortable expression, and the cashier aunt looked at her with black lines from behind. But she couldn't say anything. Gruo carried the rice and walked into the residential building. How many floors does a bag of rice have to carry? The palm is inserted and pulled out. Except for Gruo, no one could hear a voice constantly ringing in his ears. Iron sand palm proficiency +1. Teenagers are not childish. He is really practicing iron sand palms. As for why we use rice to practice. Who made his golden finger the child-oriented achievement system? By unlocking achievements, you can obtain and upgrade the corresponding skills. Inserting the palm of the hand into the rice, in the imagination of the child, isn't it just practicing the iron sand palm? Host, Gruo unlocked achievement category, martial arts. Number of achievements unlocked, 1 skills of martial arts, iron sand palm. Entry into the hall, 225/1000. Recalling the experience 2 months ago, Gruo was still a little sighed. At that time, Gruo, who had just crossed over not long ago, obtained the memory of the original owner, and soon after that, he obtained his golden finger, an achievement system. The original owner was an orphan, and his parents died in a confrontation with a monster. Now his plan is to eat the subsistence allowances of the state, so he studies very hard. And his system allows Gruo to unlock and upgrade the corresponding skills by achieving various achievements. But this system doesn't seem to be very intelligent. There is no novice gift package, and there is no specific description of how to unlock achievements. Everything needs to be figured out on your own. At the beginning, Gruo tried many ways, according to his many years of experience in reading novels, tried various routines, but was unable to achieve anything. This made Gruo once thought that his system was just a decoration, useless. Until a few days ago, when Gruo ran out of food reserves at home and went downstairs to replenish supplies. He didn't plan to buy rice at first. After all, living alone, cooking is a little troublesome. It would be more convenient and cheaper to eat some noodles. Although the official monthly subsidy for him is quite large, as the so-called poor culture is rich in martial arts, and martial arts training requires a variety of high-energy ingredients, otherwise, if you simply rely on the human body to absorb spiritual energy, you will not be able to practice. A martial artist is an existence that attributes all great power to itself. The human body is a huge treasure, and even today, human beings have not been able to fully excavate it. That day, Gruo passed by the main food area and saw the high pile of rice, so he put his hand in. This is a habit he has had since he was a child. When he was a child, he thought he was practicing iron sand palm, but as he grew older, he no longer felt that way, but this habit was still retained. At that time, it was just a subconscious action. However, when his palm was completely submerged by the rice pile, Gruo's ear rang a kind reminder from the system. Congratulations to the host child for unlocking the achievement, Iron Sand Palm at the age of 6. Acquired martial skill, Iron Sand Palm, the current first level peak at the door, Proficiency 0, can be achieved through achievements to improve proficiency. Remarks: Iron Sand Palm is a perfect match for fried rice. This is the system prompt when the achievement has just been achieved, and now, Gruo's Iron Sand Palm has already entered the room. It was then that Gruo finally understood. It turns out that his system is for children. Seriously, this is the first time he has seen such a kind system, a godlike host child. However, the functionality of the system is powerful. He has been through the journey for 2 months and knows very well that although the Iron Sand Palm is only an ordinary martial skill, it is at least a martial artist, which is one of the best martial arts among high school students and even some college students. Under normal circumstances, if you want to practice the Iron Sand Palm to the level of entering the hall today, not to mention that the palm will be deformed to a certain extent, and a large amount of specially made exclusive medicinal liquid needs to be consumed to soak the palm during the practice. Otherwise, if you practice hard, you won't gain anything except the ability to lose your hands. Of course, this level of resource consumption can be tolerated by ordinary families, but if it is not an ordinary family, although there are a lot of official subsistence allowances, there are still some used to practice this kind of martial arts that require the assistance of special medicinal liquids. Hard-pressed. Under such circumstances, the original body can still reach the level of a 6th level martial artist, which is already very good. There are 9 levels and 6 levels in the martial arts stage, which is the average level of the college entrance examination candidates over the years, and this is the result of the original owner's desperate efforts relying on limited resources. So, Gruo's system is very strong. It allows if you don't need to consume any extra resources, you can practice the martial skill of Iron Sand Palm to the level of entering the room. From the first glimpse of the door to the entrance of the hall, Tai Shazang only consumed a bag of rice, and it was not completely consumed. After all, the bag of rice was fried and eaten with the palm of his hand. What is this concept? It is roughly equivalent to the consumption of a car driving 100 kilometers as a bottle of mineral water. What is outrageous is that this bottle of mineral water is mainly drunk by the driver. 3 days left. Gruo put the bag of rice in the kitchen, poured out a third of it into a pot, inserted both hands, and started to stir-fry. On average, the proficiency of the Iron Sand Palm will increase a little for every 10 times of stirring with both hands. During this process, Gruo's palm glowed with a faint red glow, and as he practiced, the temperature gradually increased. He has calculated that this pot of rice can only be fried about 1,000 times, and it will be cooked, which can increase the proficiency by about 100 points. As a martial artist, if you eat a lot of rice, this is enough to completely drown a pot of rice in the palm of the boy's hand. The nutrition he ingested was enough for him to cultivate until midnight. For the past 3 days, Gruo didn't plan to go out. Time flies. 3 days later, Gruo came to the school to gather. In the entire Yunchanj No. 1 middle school, 863 students took the college entrance examination this time. And the college entrance examination is taken by all schools. According to the data of previous years, the number of college entrance examination candidates will probably be around 300,000, and the mortality rate is 10%. That is to say, there will be nearly 30,000 students every year who will stay forever in the high school entrance examination room. Students, it's time to test the achievements of your years of practice when you go to the mountain of 10,000 beasts. The principal stood on the high flag-raising platform, mobilizing before the exam. What I would like to advise all students is that the duty of a UU reading www.uuganshu.com martial artist is to protect, not to fight bravely, so you can think about it first. If you feel that you can't adapt to that kind of life, then quit now. In time. Once you enter the Myriad Beasts Mountain secret realm, even if you will be issued an emergency rescue device during the martial arts exam, it is impossible for the rescuers to arrive at the scene immediately. At that time, life and death will have their destiny. As for the martial artist, what you need is the courage to go forward and the determination to be invincible. So, I hope that the students will think again at last. Gruo frowned. It was the first time that he held such a simple pre-exam mobilization meeting. The principal would even persuade students to drop the exam. But it is normal to think about it. After all, it is a secret realm. Hundreds of thousands of people refer to it at the same time. Although the internal monsters are of low rank, there must be a lot of them. The risk factor will not be low. After a while, the principal saw that no one had left, and the more than 800 young faces in the audience were full of determination. Although it was the first time they faced bloodshed, they seemed to be ready. I understand. The principal said with relief, "Here, I wish all the students to be successful, starting from the mountain of 10,000 beasts, and embarking on the ultimate martial arts. You are the future of my humanity." Having said that, the principal waved his hand. "Now, organize students in each class, step forward in an orderly manner, and collect weapons." Behind him, the dean was fiddling with a device, which was fully activated after the first class received the weapon. A swirl portal of indescribable colors appeared on the flag-raising platform. "Then I wish all the students a triumphant return, and now the exam begins." Gruo picked a standard tang knife. He originally thought that he could trigger an achievement like one day the sword will be in hand. No result. So Gruo took another sword and crossed it behind his back. The teacher who handed out the weapons didn't even care. Every year, there are such students. They may think that with one more weapon, there will be more hope for survival. Although for a martial artist, only what suits you is the best, but the college entrance examination can only be regarded as a martial artist reserve. Those who have not really experienced the baptism of blood cannot be called a warrior. The squad leader Liang Shixian followed behind Gruo. Seeing Gruo carrying a knife and a sword at the same time, he couldn't help but wonder, how do you hold a knife and a sword? Either two swords, or two swords. Swordsmanship and swordsmanship are not it's the same. Gruo raised his chin and said, "Do I have to report to you about my double swordsmanship?" He did this just to trigger the achievement, but it didn't. The achievement system is like dead. Obviously, if a child gets a sword, the sense of accomplishment will definitely explode. Gruo is not quite sure what the criteria for this system are. However, he has already mastered the iron sand palm at the entrance level. This time, if you are more careful in the college entrance examination, there will be no problems. It's a pity that the time is too short, and if I can't practice it to the third realm, consummate perfection. The current proficiency is only 536. And the basic skills of using various conventional weapons must be learned. So it's not that strange if Ji brings a sword at the same time, he knows how to use it. Of course, Shuangjian is definitely exaggerated. Liang Shixian. The monitor frowned and warned, in short, after entering the examination room, be careful and join up with your classmates as soon as possible. There are many people and strength, and everyone is safe when they are together. Don't worry, I understand. In the past 2 months, Gruo felt a little surprised that he did not encounter the kind of plot of classmates bullying that regular traversers would encounter. The students in the class are very united. School teachers are also very responsible. This is evident from the words of the head teacher 3 days ago and the content of the principal's pre-exam mobilization. The first priority is to survive. But that's fine, Gruo's achievement system is for children, and playing X's face shouldn't be considered a child's achievement. Classmates, follow me closely. After all the classmates had received the weapons, Liang Shixian let out a low voice and prepared to be the first to step into the secret portal. He seemed to be calm, but in fact his hand holding the knife was shaking, and he didn't know if it was excitement or fear. However, at this time, Gruo took a step forward with the sword on his back and said, I will lead the charge. After speaking, Gruo slammed into the portal under the surprised eyes of her classmates. No one noticed that the moment he entered the portal, Gruo's hands turned red and the temperature increased sharply. That is the performance of the iron sand palm pushing to the extreme. At the moment of passing through the portal, there is a slight sense of blockage, like jumping into the water. The next moment, Gruo realized that she had left the school and came to a lush wilderness. Gruo vigilantly hid behind a tree and observed the surrounding environment for the first time. Hey? A random martial arts test. Gruo frowned slightly. Although teamwork cannot be avoided in the martial arts test, the test mode will change. For example, the easy difficulty, where students from the same class or school come to the same place, or the normal difficulty, where a group of 10, and the hard mode where they arrive completely randomly. The reason for this is mainly to let students understand in advance what it means to be unable to keep up with changes in plans. In short, it is to cultivate a sense of crisis. The secret realm teleportation is instant. If it is a normal mode, then when you arrive, you should be able to see the 9 temporary teammates assigned by yourself for this exam. However, no, so this exam is a random hard mode. It's a bit difficult. Gruo frowned and began to observe the growth of the surrounding vegetation, intending to identify the direction. However, at this moment, a painful cry caught Gruo's attention. Gruo suddenly turned his head and was instantly happy. Just because Liang Shixian came to the canopy of the tree, he was caught off guard and fell, and he fell and gnawed at the mud. Fortunately, there are teammates, it's not completely random. Gruo quietly breathed a sigh of relief, then stepped forward and helped Liang Shixian up. Squad leader, fate. Gruo. Liang Shixian was stunned for a moment, and immediately looked around, double matching random martial arts test. It seems that's right. Liang Shixian frowned, let's find a way to meet other students first. Okay. Gruo pointed at the grass and trees and said, I'll come one step ahead of you, and I've roughly identified the direction. This is the west side. I suggest going this way. Liang Shixian was stunned for a moment. Why? Gruo said, go west to slay demons, and go east to return home in triumph, that's what it says in Journey to the West. Liang Shixian, go east. Before the exam, the students in class 3 and 4 had already made corresponding plans for some possible exam patterns. If it is a random martial arts test, then after everyone arrives, they must go east, meet first, and then talk about other things. Gruo also knew this, that's why he said that. While vigilant about the surrounding situation, the two walked towards the east. In the secret realm, the magnetic field is disordered, and the compass is useless. You can only rely on some theoretical knowledge taught in school to identify the direction. You can't even look at the sun. There is day and night in the mysterious realm of 10,000 beasts, but there is no sun and moon. Most secret realms are like this. 2 hours later, the two met another two-person team. Judging from the school uniform, the other party is not a candidate from Yunchinj No. 1 Middle School. Be careful. Liang Shixian clenched the steel knife in his hand vigilantly. In this secret realm, in addition to monsters, he also had to guard against candidates from other schools. Although the other party will not necessarily hurt you, it will not necessarily help you either. Even if the situation is special, candidates from other schools may the spoils they obtained from hunting monsters. This is one of the criteria for judging the results of the martial arts exam. Everyone wants to have good grades. Therefore, the school teacher has repeatedly told me that in the secret realm, we must be careful in everything. Liang Shixian's actions were right, but before he finished speaking, he saw Gruo warmly waved towards the other party and said, "How are you two classmates? My name is Gruo, I'm from Yunchinj." Liang Shixian. Didn't I tell you to be careful? The other party was a little hesitant at first. After hesitating for a while, he said, "We are from Haikan. My name is Zhang Chuan. My name is Lu Ning." Seeing this, Liang Shixian sighed. This nerve-wracking plan is really worrying. No one noticed that after the two students from Haikan responded to Gruo was stunned for a moment, then walked forward with a smile on her face, and held Zhang Quan's hand while the other's face was stunned. He said more enthusiastically, "It's fate to meet, shall we form a team?" Gruo, we still need. Before Liang Shixian finished speaking, he heard Zhang Chuan hesitantly say, "Yes, the spoils will be distributed equally." Gruo smiled, "That's necessary." Liang Shixian opened his mouth. "Did you stop looking for your classmates?" What he didn't know was that the reason why Gruo was so enthusiastic about inviting the other party to form a team was that just after saying hello, Gruo received a system prompt congratulations to the host children for unlocking the function achievement, the first to greet a strange classmate in the new semester. Get the title, Diplomatic Spokesperson. Title Diplomatic Spokesperson, increases language appeal by 10%, and the title effect can be improved by greeting strangers. Note, speaking is an art. They have all become diplomatic spokespersons. If you don't form a team, you can't justify it. Liang Shixian sighed, seeing that Gruo had already started to establish friendly relations with Haikan's classmates, and it would be inappropriate if he left, so he introduced himself, and then a few people began to simply formulate rules for the distribution of spoils. But before they could finish the formulation, a sudden change occurred. Hey! The sudden screeching made several students stunned for a moment. Gruo's eyes narrowed, and 5 or 6 green shadows sprang from the grass beside him. Perhaps because of the superposition of the souls of the traversers, even if they are both level 6 warriors, Gruo's reaction speed is faster than the rest of the irritating people. What's more, Gruo 2 lives together have more life experience than these ordinary high school students, so even if his behavior seems a little naive in order to trigger achievements, he has never given up his vigilance. Gruo was the first to notice when the green shadows burst out of the grass, and was also the first to react and fight back. Because of the position problem, the primary target of those green shadows was Lu Ning, and Lu Ning had his back to them. Be careful! Gruo let out a low cry, brushed aside Lu Ning, and then used the basic movement technique, flickering and flickering, his palms turned red, and they were shot one after another. Iron Sand Palm. Those green shadows are fast, if you count them faster. In the blink of an eye, 5 palms shot out, accurately hitting each green shadow's head, and the iron sand palm at the entrance level, when it touched, smashed the 5 green shadows' heads and died on the spot. Iron sand palm, very strong. Several green shadows died almost at the same time, and if they were caught by a scout, they were caught in their hands. The monsters they hunted were all counted as scores in the martial arts exam. Green snake. Gruo raised her brows and recognized the identity of this thing at a glance. Yuan Shi studied very hard, and Gruo was naturally not bad after taking over. The illustrations of monsters that can be accessed in high school, Gruo is thoroughly familiar. Lu Neng was originally a little annoyed that Gruo suddenly pushed him away. After all, he was unprepared just now, and Gruo staggered and almost fell. But after seeing Gruo kill Kui Snake, Lu Neng was very grateful. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he might have taken a few bites. However, Gruo didn't even think about it, so he growled, "Why are you thankful? Run." The so-called green snake is actually not a monster. Possessing a paralyzing neurotoxin, he is not slow and is good at disguise. If it were just one or a few, it would not be enough to see Gruo, a 6th-level martial apprentice with an iron palm. However, this thing lives in groups. If there are only 5 of them, it is not a group at all. From here, you can see how well a few people have mastered the basic knowledge. Gruo ran away immediately after recognizing Kui Snake. Liang Shixian was stunned for a moment, and then followed Gruo's footsteps. As for Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan, they were stunned, not knowing why the 2 Yunchinj classmates they had just met ran away. Then, they saw a terrifying scene. The whole grass suddenly trembled frantically. Hundreds of dense green snakes raised their heads from the grass. The cold snake pupils stared at the crowd. The snakes threw their letters, and the terrifying hiss sound made the scalp numb. "Run to the place where the grass is light in color," Gruo shouted. At this moment, the surrounding vegetation began to tremble wildly. A large number of green snakes sprang from the dark side of the grass, and the same was true on the tree canopy. These guys are actually misleading mankind in this way. While fleeing, Gruo took time to observe the environment. What color shades of grass and trees can tell the direction? This is obviously a color, how can there be any shade? After all, Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan were one step behind, and the green snakes were like a tide behind them, and they were about to catch up. "Follow!" Gruo turned around and clapped his palms. The iron sand palms were pushed to the extreme, and the red glow of both palms was even worse. Those green snakes just approached, and they would instinctively want to escape. The temperature of those fleshy palms was so high that even these cold-blooded animals felt instinctive disgust under the urging of the iron sand palms at the entrance level. Gruo didn't want to kill many, he couldn't finish. Seeing that the number of green snakes is increasing, Gruo doesn't want to fight, and turns around and runs. Several of them are college entrance examination students. The average level of college entrance examination students is a 6th-level martial artist. Under the full escape, these underachieving monsters and green snakes are naturally unable to catch up. They can only watch the 4 of them run farther and farther. After an hour, the 4 finally ran out of the woods. Under the critical situation just now, they didn't have time to identify the direction, and they were already lost at this moment. But now no one cares about this issue. While everyone is gasping for breath, there is a sense of happiness in their hearts for the rest of their lives. Gruo, just now, thank you," Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan said gratefully while breathing heavily. The 2 sides met by chance. Although they were both college entrance examination students, they were not from the same school. Under such circumstances, Gruo would be able to turn around and save them, which they did not expect. "Hey, we are teammates now, and teammates should naturally take care of each other," Gruo said. He originally thought that the achievement could be triggered, and he had already thought about the name of the achievement, it is better to save 2 lives than to build a 14th level pagoda. The result was not triggered, which is a pity. Squad leader, where do we go next? Gruo asked. Liang Shixian looked around, sighed, and said, I don't know either. The methods of identifying directions taught in school are useless for the time being. In the woods behind, the green snake has been dormant again, and the green of the grass has once again become darker on one side and lighter on the other. However, after experiencing the situation just now, several people know that there is actually a green snake lurking on the dark side. Zhang Chuan raised his hand weakly and said, why don't we just wait here? I was a little scared just now, and the rescue device has been activated. Gruo. They all ran out. You said you activated the rescue device? Lu Neng also said a little embarrassedly, mine is also. Gruo and Liang Shixian looked at their watches, which displayed a message SOS is being sent, please try your best to ensure your own safety. Gruo. Activation is indeed activated, but the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beasts Mountain is too big. Even if the warriors who come to act as invigilators and rescuers are strong people who can fly in the sky, it is impossible to reach every rescue signal in the first place. In general, if the situation is really critical, activating the device is practically useless. Judging from Gruo's knowledge alone, the rescuers who took the college entrance examination in previous years did the most to collect corpses for students. Even if the martial arts venue has been cleaned up by powerful martial artists, there are still countless dangers. Therefore, the death rate in the martial arts examination remains high. But this is also impossible. A martial artist must go through the baptism of blood before he can be alone. In the face of countless aliens and demons and beasts, human beings are still too busy to take care of themselves, and a safe and harmless college entrance examination cannot be achieved within a period of time. Zhang Chuan said apologetically, I'm sorry, we were too scared at the time and started it subconsciously. But don't worry, only ours are activated, you still have the qualifications for the exam, and the invigilator will only take us away. That's it, UU reading www.uuganshu.com will not affect you. Lu Neng also said, yeah, do you want to wait with us? We have already lost the qualifications for the exam, and now we have lost our way. When the invigilator comes, we can also help you ask for directions. Gruo and Liang Shixian looked at each other. Okay, we'll wait with you. However, no one noticed that the information on Lu Neng and Zhang Quan's wristwatches was always SOS in progress, there was no change, and there was no indication of who came to the rescue. It was the first time for several people to take the martial arts test, and they were not very familiar with this distress device. The teacher in the school only said that after starting the device, it would be good to find a safe place as soon as possible and wait patiently. Suddenly, Gruo's eyes lit up. Look what I found! Several people were stunned for a moment, and all looked in the direction Gruo was staring at. And Gruo walked in that direction with both eyes shining. Then a few people saw Gruo bent down and picked up a stick, looking very happy. Liang Shixian asked curiously, Gruo, why are you picking this up? Look at the squad leader, how straight is this stick? Gruo posed with a flamboyant face and said, like a sword, look at me, handsome or not? Several people. Why don't you have a real sword on your back? Liang Shixian said helplessly, Gruo, you can't tell the occasion? Can you not be so naive? However, Gruo hummed softly, I don't want to grow up the world after growing up no fairy tales. Several people. Daxia Department of Education. Director. What's up? The inspectors in the Xinmao area lost contact. The director was stunned for a moment. Xinmao? What happened? I remember that this time the martial arts test was opened to Dingai district, and before the test, the Jiazi area and the Dingai area were cleaned up in advance. Why is there the patrolling martial artist lost contact? Human beings divide the range of the mysterious realm of One Beast Mountain into 60 areas, named after the heavenly stems and earthly branches. Under normal circumstances, martial arts exams are open to the 4 major areas of A, B, C, D, and the following areas are provided to higher qualified warriors or bounty warriors. The subordinate was sweating profusely, and hurriedly said, "We also discovered that the current area number is not consistent with the area number we cleaned up before." The director's face sank. "What is the original area of Xinmao area?" "Gui, Gaisai." The subordinate said weakly. "Gaisai." The director suddenly stood up, and his voice suddenly raised an octave. "How can there be such a big mistake? What are you doing to eat?" The director said angrily, "Do you know what the Gaisai area represents? The martial arts area is open to Dingai. Do you know how many students will die from this flaw?" "Director, we." A cold sweat broke out from the back of the subordinate. "I can't blame us. We did clean up the test area before the test, but after that, there seemed to be a very obscure large-scale geological movement in the secret realm of One Beast Mountain, and the positions of the mountainside and the foot of the mountain seemed to be interchanged. Now, by the time we find out, the exam has already started." "That's not what I want to hear." The director's face flushed. "If this matter is not good, it is likely that he will be kicked out of this position. And, most importantly, the lives of those children. If you don't deal with the problem when you find it, what will you report to me? Hurry up and send more people to the 10,000 Beast Mountains. Bring the students back and end the martial arts exam." "But..." The subordinate hesitated. "The number of candidates." "Indeed. Every time the number of candidates who take the martial arts exam is as high as tens of millions, it is not realistic to want to take all of them in a short period of time. It's true that Wu Kao went through the secret realm teleportation device. Under normal circumstances, they only need to turn on the teleportation device again, and all the candidates can be pulled back at the same time. However, after all, the secret realm teleportation device involves time and space, and the interval between 2 openings must be at least 7 days, otherwise it will suffer strong time and space damage. If it is a strong martial artist, it would be better, but martial arts students. What time is it? Are you still thinking about this? The lives of students are the most important." The director was so angry that he exclaimed, "I will send more people immediately, and second all the warriors above the Chi Pulse realm from other departments. I want you gather all the students at the fastest speed." "Forget it, I will go there personally. You will issue an announcement to the major schools, and then lead all the warriors above the Chi level in the division to advance to the Myriad Beast Mountain." Saying that, the director's coat didn't even have time to take it. He smashed the large floor-to-ceiling windows in the office and jumped down from the 18th floor high-rise building. Although it was for education, in essence, the director was a powerful warrior. "I hope the remedy will be timely, otherwise, I will be a sinner through the ages." The director was worried and ran wildly. At his level, the speed of ordinary vehicles was not as fast as he could run. More importantly, there is no time to prepare transportation now. Although the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beasts Mountain is controlled by humans, the actual range of the secret realm is extremely wide. What humans control is actually only the area of 3 million square kilometers from the foot of the Mount 10,000 Beasts to the mountainside. The 4 major areas of A, B, C, D, and D are indeed completely under control, but the problem is that now, the geological changes in the mysterious realm of 10,000 beasts, and the locations of all regions are chaotic. Many secret realms have their own rules, such as the mysterious realm of 10,000 beasts. While changing, there is no fluctuation. It's just that in the past, large-scale geological changes in One Beast Mountain occurred once every 50 years, while ordinary geological changes would only occur within the range of the top of the mountain, and would not affect the areas under human control at all. It has only been 36 years since the last large-scale geological change. This is a situation that no one expected. If it can't be dealt with in time, there is a high probability of heavy casualties in this martial arts exam. Even the director of the education department is not sure whether the rescue operation can be carried out normally. Because starting from the Wuhai area, the signal of electronic equipment will not be completely covered by the turbulent magnetic field in the area. The further back the area, the lower the coverage of the electronic signal. The geological changes of Wan Beast Mountain are not only the location of the mountains and forests, but even the magnetic field will change together. Those emergency rescue equipment used for martial arts examinations are considered useless. GRUO, when did you learn the iron sand palm? While waiting, Liang Shixian asked curiously. They have completely relaxed. At this moment, there are no monsters here, and Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan have activated the rescue device. They just need to wait patiently for the patrolling warriors to arrive. Last week, GRUO waved a small wooden stick and told the truth. Liang Shixian hesitated, but Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com finally snorted and said, "If you don't want to talk, forget it, who are you fooling?" He could see that GRUO's iron sand palm must be more than just a first glimpse of the door, but it seems a little unrealistic to say that it is to enter the room. But no matter what level it is, to be able to practice to the point where the palm is as red iron, it must take a lot of time to practice, and the process cannot be fast, otherwise even if there is a matching medicinal liquid to assist, the hands will not be able to withstand that high-intensive workout. Hard training will only ruin both hands. So GRUO said that he had only been practicing for a week, but Liang Shixian didn't believe it at all. But he didn't say much. As the monitor, he is very aware of GRUO's family situation. Although he was also very curious about how GRUO had the money to buy the iron sand palm's medicinal solution to cultivate the iron sand palm, he couldn't ask. Because once you ask, it will inevitably involve the family situation, and if you think about the family situation, GRUO was a human being, and naturally he could see what Liang Shixian was worried about, which made GRUO feel a little warmer. Several people chatted with each other, waiting for the arrival of the patrolling warriors. GRUO waved the small wooden stick for a long time, but did not see any achievements, so he tied the small wooden stick around his waist and sat on the ground thinking. 2 hours passed. The light gradually dimmed in the mystical realm of Myriad Beasts Mountain without the sun, and Liang Shixian and GRUO finally realized that something was wrong. Why didn't you come for so long? Could it be that something happened? The two looked at each other, stood up at the same time, and said, "We have to go." Zhang Chuan and Lu Neng were stunned for a moment, but the patrolling warriors haven't come yet. We can't wait any longer. Liang Shixian said seriously, "If we wait any longer, we will be in danger." "But, it's obviously very safe here," Lu Neng said hesitantly. Hearing this, GRUO shook her head slightly. "These two guys usually fall asleep in class, right? Why don't you understand anything?" Obviously, he, a traveler, knows the difference between day and night. Liang Shixian explained patiently, "Safety may only be safe during the day. Under normal circumstances, monsters are divided into daytime and nocturnal. Normally, nocturnal monsters are more aggressive than daytime monsters. And more violent." GRUO added in due time, "Also, we don't know why those green snakes suddenly stopped chasing us, even if they were tired, after such a long rest, they should have recovered. We must leave, find another place to camp, otherwise, when night falls, none of us know what will happen." Zhang Chuan and Lu Neng looked at each other, seeming hesitant. "It's been so long," GRUO said seriously, "it's precisely because I've waited for a long time that I'm leaving. As far as I know, during the martial arts test over the years, the rescue time of the patrolling martial artist will not exceed half an hour. Look, how long have you waited now? This, okay." Several people decided to leave. It's just that they are facing a very serious problem. It seems that some changes have taken place in the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beast Mountains. The methods of identifying directions taught in schools are no longer useful, so the serious problem of which direction to go in is a few people who have just left. After a while, he stopped. Where are we going? Lu Neng asked weakly. He had found out that Gruo and Liang Shixian were both academically tyrannical players, regardless of the others, at least their theoretical knowledge was absolutely solid. However, what he didn't know was that when this question was asked, Liang Shixian also got into trouble. To be honest, he doesn't know where to go now. Gruo thought about it for a while, then took off a shoe and tossed it into the sky. In the slightly dull eyes of several people, Gruo followed the guidance of the shoes and said, "Go this way." Liang Shixian had a toothache. "Gruo, are you serious?" "Of course, it's God's arrangement to throw your shoes and ask the way, it's God's arrangement." Gruo raised her chin. "Do you have a better way?" This. Several people looked at each other. Liang Shixian sighed, "Okay, just do as you said." At the same time, congratulations to the host child for successfully guiding the way, unlocking the function to the achievement, Gold Tour Guide. Acquired feature, Absolute Sense of Direction. Absolute sense of direction. When facing the direction selection, a certain percentage of correct correction will be obtained. The current correction is 5%, which can be improved by repeating the direction. The full value is 100%. Remarks: go to wander, to witness, to own. Gruo's eyes lit up. Good. Become a tour guide. Squad leader, are we going to the east? Liang Shixian's face was a little unsightly. Go towards the toe. Cough cough. Ji coughed a few times, then come with me. Saying that, Gruo picked up her shoes and put them on, then walked towards the direction where the toes originally pointed to the right. Slightly to the right, this is the east. You call this slightly to the right? It's all so fast that it deviates to the heel. Where is it a little bit? But Gruo can't do anything about it. The absolute sense of direction he just obtained allowed him to get a small amount of corrections when guiding him. Although it was not very accurate, it at least allowed Gruo to know the approximate direction. Ahem, Gruo was a little embarrassed. Anyway, we don't know where to go, don't we? I mainly think that it seems a little unreliable to ask for directions. You also know it's not reliable. Several people were powerless to complain. But as Gruo said, they actually didn't know which way to go. Then let's go, stop the ink, and the sky will be dark again. Liang Shixian sighed and said. Gruo patted her chest and said to herself, "Don't worry, listen to me, that's right. After all, it is a feature of system rewards. Definitely in the right direction." Gruo thought so he was very confident. But he overlooked one point, that is, this feature currently only has a 5% correction effect, so if the direction of the guidance is wrong, the correct orientation feedback he gets is actually only 5% of the correct orientation. If they leave, no one will know that the reverse direction is indeed east, but it is south-southeast, and extremely south-south. Strictly speaking, if one direction is divided into 90 degrees, then the southeast, northwest, northwest, the four directions are the four rectangular coordinate systems. And this direction is actually only 5 degrees away from the coordinate system where the south is located. Everyone, follow me closely, don't get lost. Gruo took the lead, walking in front, not forgetting to warn a few people. Got it. Liang Shixian only felt tired for a while. He felt that the plan was unreliable, but at this time someone had to lead the team. Although he is the squad leader, he doesn't know the right direction, and if Ji has already chosen the direction, if he changes it again, the change will only make a few people stay in place, or completely get lost. Anyway, I've already lost my way, so let's go in one direction. As a squad leader with excellent academic performance, Liang Shixian knows that although the mysterious realm of Wan Beast Mountain is controlled by humans, the dangers that can be encountered in the area open to the martial arts test will theoretically not exceed what a 6th level martial artist can do. Tolerable limit. There are 4 of them now. Gruo is good at Iron Sand Palm again, and Liang Shixian himself is not weak, at least in the range of a 6th level martial artist. He thinks he is not weak. In short, as long as they don't encounter gregarious monsters like the green snakes before, they won't be in too much danger. Not to mention, there are 2 guys who have activated the rescue device. The patrolling warriors will come at any time, so even if you choose a random direction, you don't have to worry too much. Therefore, Liang Shixian had no problem with Gruo's team leader. His idea was actually correct, but what he didn't know was that the current mysterious realm of the Mountain of 10,000 Beasts was different from the mysterious realm of the Mountain of 10,000 Beasts in the past 36 years. The few people walked for a few more hours. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com walked with sore waists and knees, and eyes gleamed with gold stars. After being chased by the green snakes for so long, it has been almost a day since the martial arts test started. During this day, several people ate nothing, and they were already hungry. Gruo rubbed his stomach and muttered, "I would have stopped throwing those green snakes before I knew, and I can still eat some game." The martial arts test is a comprehensive test. Although candidates are allowed to carry weapons, they are not allowed to carry living materials such as food. Survival in the wild is also an important assessment in martial arts. Candidates must rely on themselves to survive in this mountain of 10,000 beasts like a virgin forest until the end of the exam, that is, to survive for 7 days. Over the years, there have been many candidates who have been starved to death in the martial arts exam. The help-seeking device can make some simple judgments, but it is impossible to activate this device if it is simply hungry. Once the martial arts test begins, there is no way out. Martial artist must have the courage to go forward. Very hungry. Gruo couldn't help complaining. Since he got the system, he has triggered a total of 3 achievements, and the triggering conditions are very childish, so Gruo also changed his style. He regarded himself as a child, and a child would say when he was hungry. The younger ones still cry. "Just bear with it, it's really not good, we can eat turf." Liang Shixian said, "Fungus and monsters can't be eaten casually, they are easy to be poisoned. Find a camping place first." Ugh! Gruo sighed, but I don't know if Gruo wanted to eat too much. 10 minutes later, a blood-red paddy field appeared in front of them. Now, not only Gruo and Liang Shixian, but also Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan, 2 obvious scumbags, were stunned. "This is blood rice," Liang Shixian said hesitantly. "This thing is already considered a low-level treasure in the conventional sense, but the level is very, very low. Its main function is to strengthen blood, and there are no restrictions on its use. It can be eaten by warriors of any rank. Especially for martial apprentices like Gruo and the others, the effect of eating them is excellent, and they can be called martial apprentice level experience medicine. Normally, there will be blood rice in the secret realm, because the growth of this thing needs to absorb the chi and blood of strong creatures. Their roots will extract the essence of flesh and blood to support themselves, and produce blood-red rice with the effect of strengthening blood. There are deaths every day in the secret realm, and it is reasonable to encounter 1 or 2 blood rice plants occasionally. But the problem is, the blood rice in front of them is not 1 or 2, but a piece of. Not only that, the surrounding area of this blood rice paddy field is extremely regular. It is a square paddy field with a length and width of about 50 meters. This is clearly someone planting blood rice. In the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beast Mountains, how could there be such a thing? It would be better if it was wild, but this is obviously not wild. And just when several people hesitated, a harsh conversation suddenly came from the other end of the blood rice paddy field. "Be careful to hide." Gruo and Liang Shixian responded very quickly, and they pressed Lu Neng and Zhang Chuan to the ground with a click. The luxuriant grass hid the figures of the four of them. They didn't even dare to breathe, and lay down in the grass with breathless concentration. The voices of conversation on the opposite side were clearly not human voices. "Oh, the leader is really number at Yuan at. I can't figure out why we have to bring meat to at number Yuan, obviously we have no chance to eat it. How can you say that to the chief? Where can we eat? Just drink some blood rice soup, it's number at Yuan. Let's not talk about this for now, let's at number Yuan go back." The big monsters on the top of the mountain seem to be number % at number recently, but it's not peaceful. Gru04 lay quietly in the grass, listening to the conversation between the two creatures outside. Most of the content of the conversation they can understand, but there is still a part of the content they can't understand. Those content is not human language at all. One of the creatures was whining, the other was persuading, and then there was the sound of a heavy object falling. The two creatures didn't seem to intend to stay, and the conversation gradually faded away. Gru raised her head cautiously, her line of sight was level with the blood rice, and looked quietly. "Goblin!" Looking at the two greenbacks that were not very tall in the distance, Gru was a little confused. How could such a low-level monster still speak human words? After the two goblins walked away, Gru told a few people what he had seen. Liang Shixian frowned, while the other two guys looked blank. Zhang Chuan asked blankly, "Is it strange that goblins can talk?" Liang Shixian explained, "Goblins are low-level gregarious monsters. Although they also have their own language, they are actually just some emotional roars. Normally, their intelligence level is very low, and our human language is too complicated for them, so theoretically, it is impossible for us to understand them, and it is impossible for them to speak our human language." Gru added, "Moreover, this rice field seems to be planted by goblins. The teacher said that the level of intelligence and racial civilization of goblins is only barely equal to the level of our early Stone Age human beings. They may think of fixing sharp-edged stones on wooden sticks in hand, but they never think of growing food, which is too high-end for them." Lu Neng asked in a daze, "Then what should we do now?" At this moment, the two goblins had already left. Gru patted his and stood up, pulled out the small wooden stick around his waist, and said, "What should I do? Let's eat. Are you hungry?" "What?" Gru swung the small wooden stick, completely using the basic swordsmanship taught in the school to dance beautiful stick flowers. The young man holding a wooden stick suddenly said, "To be honest, when I was a child, I was a well-known farm helper in 8 townships. Every autumn harvest, the villagers would find me first, and then the harvest would start." Liang Shixian was stunned for a moment. "Why?" Because Gru first glanced at the prey thrown into the rice field by the goblins, picked it up, and recorded it with the watch specially issued by the school during the martial arts exam. This watch is not only for asking for help, it also records information. The function of the goblins, the prey brought by the goblins, has become a calculated test score. After doing all this, he stood in the middle of the paddy field, pointed at the paddy field with a cold eyebrow, and used a small wooden stick to practice a sword technique without explaining it. In fact, it was just a random swing. "If they don't find me, they may not be able to harvest in peace." With Gru's action, the blood rice were knocked down by Gru, and a special sense of accomplishment came out spontaneously. "Liang Shixian! Isn't this a bear child? What are you proud of?" The joy on the boy's face became stronger and stronger, and he received a system prompt congratulations to the host child for unlocking the Kendo direction achievement. "If you are young with this stick, Shilly Rapeseed will lower your eyebrows. Get buff, Kendo is favored." First glimpse of the door, Kendo favors, improve the related comprehension related to the sword. The upgrade value is the current level max, that is, the first glimpse of Kendo at the gate level. The comprehension ability of all sword-related usage methods can be improved to the full value of the first glimpse of the gate level, if the upper limit is exceeded, the comprehension returns to normal. Note, this ability level can be improved by unlocking achievements. Remarks: waste food is not what a good boy should do. Gruo was pleasantly surprised. He waved a small wooden stick and worked harder, and in a short time, he gave the whole rice paddy field to Huo Huo. Come here, you can get as much as you can from Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com, let's have a good meal today. He has no psychological burden at all. Although it is shameful to waste food, it is not that he does not eat. And this field is owned by goblins. These monsters and humans have a feud, and if they can be disgusting, they must be disgusting. Of course, it would be best if you could kill him. Several people looked at each other, and they were all very hungry, and they all started to pick up the rice that was interrupted on the ground by Gruo, and everyone held a big bundle. Wait, we don't seem to be able to take much. Gruo touched his chin, then pulled out the standard tang knife he was carrying, chopped off the rice ears, and put it in his school uniform. Leave the straws in place. Gruo said seriously, don't take the rice straws away, let them rot here and increase the fertility of the land, so that they can be planted in the future. We think about those goblins so much, if they know about it, they will definitely cry with emotion. Come out. Several people. There are so many flaws, I don't know where to start. But they also know what's going on right now. It's really more convenient to just take the ears of rice than to take them with the stalks. So several people followed suit, taking off their school uniforms and carrying rice ears. The tense atmosphere of the martial arts exam seems to have disappeared, including Liang Shixian. Everyone is happy to experience the joy of harvesting. After all, they are all teenagers. The happiness of teenagers is actually very simple. And a few people are really hungry. Blood rice is still known as the existence of martial arts level experience medicine. If you spend money to buy it, the price is not something that ordinary families can afford for a long time. Woolen cloth? This blood rice paddy field is a square paddy field with a length and width of about 50 meters. It seems to be a large area, but in fact, the yield is not very high, and the rice ears are not much gathered. After all, this thing is not a hybrid rice, and there may even be dozens of grains of rice on a single blood rice. In addition, the school uniforms and jackets were all loose sportswear, so the teenagers wrapped them in 4 school uniforms and filled their trouser pockets, so they scoured the entire field of rice. No waste at all. Let's go, let's have dinner. Gruo said happily. He has found out that the absolute sense of direction feature he obtained before is a magical skill. Encountering this rice field may not be a coincidence, but Gruo's strong desire to eat is subtly corrected by the absolute sense of direction. After all, Gruo has always been leading the way, he can basically rule out other people's luck factors, and Gruo's luck. To be honest, he hasn't even hit the one more bottle a few times in his past and present life. After a while, a few people came to a small hill about 800 meters away. The terrain here is open and there is little vegetation cover, but there is a depression on the top of the mountain, and a part of the rock wall even extends to cover it. In the center of the depression, there is a small spring, which is simply a natural campsite. Liang Shixian sighed with emotion, let's not say anything else, if you have the ability to lead the way, I am convinced. Gruo grinned, I'm a gold medal tour guide, where is this going? Liang Shixian was delighted, you're still out of breath when you say you're fat. A few people squatted by the spring, rubbing the rice, and doing a simple dehulling treatment. Because of the lack of tools, several people directly rubbed it with their hands. Fortunately, the blood rice grains were larger than ordinary rice grains. Although it was a bit troublesome, it was acceptable. What's more, this blood rice is also of great benefit to martial arts practice, and everyone is happy in their hearts. When night fell, several people rubbed from evening to late at night, starved of gold stars in their hungry eyes, and finally they rubbed enough for a meal. The fingers of the teenagers were stained with blood red that was difficult to wash away for a while. Then, they encountered a new problem. How do you cook this? Eat it raw? Lu Neng asked with some embarrassment. Liang Shixian was also in trouble. They have no pot. Moreover, this is the top of the mountain, and it is not suitable for a fire. In a conventional sense, campfires must be lit in the wild, which can effectively prevent wild beasts from attacking. But it is different in the secret realm. There are all kinds of monsters or monsters in it. Many are not afraid of fire. Lighting it at night may have a certain expelling effect, but it may also lead to danger. Gruo thought about it, gathered the processed blood rice in front of him, and stretched his hand in, barely able to drown his palm. Don't worry, I have a solution. Any solution? I can make fried rice. Gruo said mysteriously. Without a pot or fire, what kind of rice are you cooking? Then a few people saw Gruo insert his hands into the processed blood rice and start to stir fry. Several people. When Liang Shixian and others saw the red glow of Gruo's palms, they were stunned on the spot. Iron sand palm, is this how it is used? You young people, you are usually spoiled, and you can't even cook rice in the wild. This is not good. Gruo said, and quickly stirred the rice in front of him with his palm. At first glance, Gruo was using the iron sand palm to forcibly fry rice, but in fact, he was cultivating the iron sand palm. I don't know if it's because the quality of blood rice is higher than ordinary rice, but Gruo was pleasantly surprised to find that every time he stir-fries, he can gain a little proficiency. This is a lot faster than the previous fry tend to gain a little proficiency. So Liang Shixian and the others saw that as the stir-fry, Gruo's palms became more and more red, and the surrounding temperature was slowly rising. They are all fascinated. You can cook rice with iron sand palms. Why do you feel like you are still controlling the heat? Could it be that you really want to fry these rice with iron sand palms? However, what they don't know is that Gruo is not controlling the heat, but that he has indeed improved. The iron sand palm, who was originally at the level of entering the room, gained a lot of proficiency with Gruo's high-speed stirring, and has broken through to the level of mastery. Gruo also found that the iron sand palm that he cultivated by the system seems to be a little different from the iron sand palm in the conventional sense. In the confused eyes of several people, the aroma with a faint and sweet smell slowly penetrated into everyone's nose. The originally slightly hard blood rice was gradually softening, and the particles became fuller and crystal clear. Why is this really cooked? Iron sand palm, can you still use it like this? When the martial arts exam is over, I will also learn the iron sand palm. Zhang Chuan whispered. Lu Neng agreed, I also want to learn. Liang Shixian held the rice that was cooked by Gruo and fell into deep thought. He always felt that something was wrong, whether it was in the textbook, the teacher's teaching, or the description of the iron sand palm on the internet. It seems that there is no effect that can be used to fry rice. Gruo, this. Don't ask, asking is development. Gruo said cheerfully. He knew what Liang Shixian wanted to ask, and this was a tacit understanding of fellow scholars. All right. Liang Shixian sighed. Although he was very puzzled, it was always not good to inquire about other people's secrets. Eat it while it's hot, it won't taste good when it's cold. Gruo said without being particular about it, just grabbed a handful of rice with his hands and stuffed it into his mouth. The other three followed suit, regardless of their appearance or the dust on the rice. On the one hand, they were really hungry, and on the other hand, although they were only high school students, they were all warrior reservists after all, so they had some ability to withstand pressure. Those who practice martial arts are not hypocritical people. Hiccup comfortable. The blood rice was divided up by several people. Gruo rubbed his stomach and leaned against the mountain wall, feeling the warm current in his stomach, and slowly melted into his limbs. Although he didn't eat meat, his body was full of qi and blood, even more vigorous than before, and Gruo's face was full of contentment. After resting for a while, Gruo got up and started to practice martial arts. Basic body technique, basic boxing technique, basic leg technique. Practice one by one. Although these basic martial arts taught in high school have no special effects, they can relax the muscles and activate the muscles, strengthen the muscles and bones, and assist digestion. With the practice, the rice in Gruo's stomach was digested, and the warm current turned into a hot current, causing a faint mist to rise above Gruo's head. The martial apprentice rank experience medicine is well deserved, and after just eating it, Gruo felt that the strength of her 6th level martial apprentice was slowly improving. And the remaining blood rice is enough for a day or two. It's just that the area of the mountain is not very large, so Gruo can't use it when he practices martial arts. The night is getting darker. After the exercise, the few people assigned the order of the vigil and decided to rest. But at this moment got it. Who did this? The shrill scream that suddenly came from a distance startled a few people. Gruo looked at the direction of the sound, as if it was coming from the rice paddy field. You can still hear it even after 800 meters. How loud is this roar? Imported voice? Where's my rice? I'm such a big piece of rice. Whoa! The owner of that shrill cry couldn't bear the blow and cried loudly. Gruo even wondered if this guy had mastered any kind of sonic type of martial arts. He was the first to take the lead from 800 meters away, but he was extremely powerful. Gruo cheerfully said to a few people, "Look, I'm right. We leave the rice straw to others. When people find out, they will definitely be moved to tears." Several people. Are people so moved? Liang Shixian resisted the strong desire to complain, and greeted a few people to hide under the protruding mountain wall, hiding in the shadow of the mountain wall to hide their figures. The extremely widespread screams startled a large number of forest birds, and the guys who disturb people's dreams are not welcome anywhere. Some of the more stubborn monsters are directly angered. Now, ooh, and gathered towards the place where the cry came from. The screaming goblin didn't know what to think when he saw so many monsters and beasts attacking. He cried and roared, "Is it you? It's definitely you. The blood rice that our tribe has worked so hard to cultivate must be yours. Steal it. Little ones, copy the guys, kill them." Then the screams started to get complicated, because they were far away. Gruo and the others didn't know what happened there, but it was estimated that the situation was not very harmonious. The goblin with a loud voice cried out, "Got it! Our tribe is frugal, and the prey we catch is not willing to eat a single bite. It's all used to raise blood, rice, and rice. You actually steal it all for me. Gone! Cut off our tribe's advanced road, we are uncomfortable, don't think about it. Today I will perish with you." When Gruo heard the words, her face was strange. "Isn't that loud voice the goblin leader? I suddenly have a feeling, let's go there again tomorrow, and everyone will be able to read a book." 3 people. Didn't the teacher say that the martial arts exam is very dangerous? Gruo looked at the expressions of several people, and was a little unhappy. "What are your eyes? You have heard how fierce the fight over there is, and the casualties must be very heavy tonight. Those are all martial arts scores. It's still unowned, it's a pity to leave it alone." 3 people. Although they are monsters and beasts, we have taken the blood rice that they have worked so hard to cultivate, and we have to use their corpses to make up the test scores. Isn't this a bit unkind? This night, several people did not sleep well. The screams over there continued, and they seemed to be getting closer, so that everyone, including Gruo, was very nervous. The conditions of this campsite are very good in all aspects, but the open terrain is both an advantage and a disadvantage. When there is no danger, they can look at the surrounding situation through the slightly higher terrain of this hill. But once the danger comes, there is not even a place to cover up on the top of the mountain. If it is exposed, they will have nowhere to run and can only be a living target. Fortunately, although the chaotic voice was getting closer, it did not reach the few people on the top of the mountain. In fear, the chaos continued until dawn. It seems to have stopped. Gruo whispered, "Would you like to go quietly and have a look? This idea is actually a bit dangerous, but even if you don't look at it, the rich smell left by the chaos has already drifted up with the mountain wind. If you continue to stay here, you may be found by other monsters or monsters who come to look for food. It's good that the number of monsters and beasts is small. Once the number of enemies increases, they will be waiting to die if they stay here." Liang Shixian also knew this truth, but he was still a little hesitant. "Why don't we go down the mountain from the other side? Don't go there to pick up points or something. In case of an accident." Before the start of the martial arts test, all the candidates were instructed by teachers or parents of the school safety first. Gruo thought about it and said, "Take a look quietly, those monsters and beasts have all come to our door, take a look, if something goes wrong, let's just run." It's not that he was careless, but that he was looking for a safe direction with the help of absolute sense of direction all night. When the chaos continued, the direction of safety was very blurred, and the 5% direction correction effect of absolute direction sense had almost no effect. And now, the feeling of absolute directional sense gives Gruo a faint pointing in the direction of chaos. In other words, it is theoretically safe to go from here. Of course, you still have to be careful. After all, the effect of direction correction is only 5% for the time being. But, squad leader, those are wild martial arts scores. Liang Shixian's mouth twitched. What a wild martial arts score! After struggling for a moment, Liang Shixian finally gritted his teeth. "Okay, just take a look." Gruo thought about it, this is probably the effect of the title of diplomatic spokesperson taking effect. A few people tied the remaining rice with school uniforms, carried them behind their backs, and then walked down the mountain cautiously. The height of this hill is only about 100 meters, and the is not very steep. If it is normal, with the strength of a few 6th level warriors, you can run from the mountain to the bottom of the mountain in a few seconds, but you can't do that now, you have to pay attention to safety. So, within a short distance of 100 meters, a few people walked for nearly an hour. When they arrived at the foot of the mountain, Zhang Chuan and Lu Neng vomited on the spot when they saw the purgatory-like scene. Although the martial apprentice LFL candidates trained under the standard education are not flowers in the greenhouse to some extent, everyone has seen blood. But before the martial arts test started, at most, he had to kill chickens, ducks, fish, and pigs by himself, and since they were all done by himself, the wounds were very regular, and it wasn't too disgusting. But now, the battle between monsters and monsters, in the conventional sense, has no rules to speak of. Their weapons are all kinds of strange, or simple stone tools, or simply hard stones. What's more, they like to attack with their own body parts most of the time. Such as sharp teeth, claws, sharp beaks, hard horns. All in all, at a cursory glance, nearly 200 various monsters and beasts died here, and the largest proportion of them were green-skinned goblins. Most of the dead monsters and beasts have mutilated limbs, or their internal organs are scattered all over the place. The strong smell was mixed with a lot of strange smells, which were both hot and eye-catching. Coupled with the visual impact, Zhang Chuan and Lu Neng vomited on the spot. Liang Shixian and Gruo didn't vomit, but they didn't get much better, and their faces were a little unsightly. I don't know why Liang Shixian didn't vomit Gruo, but Gruo was going to vomit, just thinking about the first time he ate a high-end ingredient such as blood rice. It was a pity that he vomited, so he abruptly suppressed the desire to vomit. "Looks like they're all dead," Gruo said in a low voice, and then he didn't think it was dirty. He picked up the corpse of the monster that looked like a gopher under his feet, and began to collect evidence and upload it, recording the test scores. A few people next to him were still in a daze. Gruo frowned. What are you doing? Do it. You want to watch me go to a famous martial arts school by myself, right? Hurry up and run after the record, or wait for the smell of blood to attract come to other monsters, we can't escape. Ah? Oh. Only then did a few people act. A corpse can only be uploaded once. Now the watch has no signal, only the storage function, but it can be recorded repeatedly. But after the martial arts exam is over, all the data is uploaded, and if the intelligent exam system finds out that the body of a monster has been uploaded many times through comparison, it will be judged as cheating. Wu Cao does not prohibit teamwork, but it is strictly forbidden to upload the corpse of a monster or monster to multiple people. That kind of behavior is not part of normal teamwork. Fortunately, there are a lot of corpses here, and several people roughly divided it into 4 areas, each recording one area. Although Zhang Chuan and Lu Neng have activated the help function of the watch, they are still in the process of taking the exam in theory since the martial artist has not yet arrived. These scores can still be counted on them. When the martial arts exam is over, if they are still alive, they will all be able to go to university. As Gruo said, these scores are like wild ones. The disgusting is a little disgusting, but it is very happy to pick them up. But Gruo gradually frowned. Because he found something familiar in the blood-red color of the ground. Bloody rice straw. Who would pick up the straw and fight in a scuffle? Could this be where the rice field was originally located? But that location was clearly nearly 800 meters away from the hill where they were hiding. Could it be, the ground will move? Gruo picked it up and was suddenly startled by the thought. If that's the case, then their situation. Who is there? Suddenly, a faint call made Gruo's whole body jolted. He followed the sound, and saw a sturdy goblin lying in a pool of blood. One leg was missing, and the other leg was irregularly twisted. There is a huge wound in its abdomen, and it is faintly visible that the internal organs are slowly squirming in it, dying. Save me, I don't want to die. The goblin said weakly. It didn't even have the strength to raise its head, so it didn't know that the voice it heard was a human coming. Gruo raised his brows. This goblin was injured like this. You reading www.youcanshu.com must be dying. In theory, there is a deep blood feud between humans and monsters, and it should be ignored. But if he is a good boy, how can a good boy die without being saved? So Gruo ran to the burly goblin and said anxiously, Fellow, are you all right? My name is Gruo, and I'm a martial arts trainee who has been practicing martial arts for 2.5 years. The goblin's eyes were a little distracted, but the strong desire to survive still made it reluctantly raise his hand to reach Gruo. Please, save me. Don't worry, fellow. I have learned first aid, and I will definitely be able to save you. Gruo said seriously, then squatted beside the goblin, put his hands on the goblin's chest, and said, Fellow, my first aid method is called CPR. It's so saved, don't be afraid, I'm here. Said, Gruo's palms were red, obviously using iron sand palms. Then, press hard. The goblin's eyes were instantly rounded, his chest was squeezed with tremendous force, and a large amount of tissue that didn't like crowding suddenly spewed out from the huge wound in his abdomen. You. The goblin didn't know what you was, and he died of anger before he could finish his sentence. Gruo felt a little regretful when he saw this. It's a pity, I wasn't good at studying and I couldn't be saved. But don't worry, fellow, you will become my martial arts score and triumph with me. With that said, Gruo raised his watch to scan, turning this goblin into his martial arts score. Did congratulations to the classmates for killing the Goblin Lord. Gruo was stunned for a moment. Voice broadcast? Good luck. Summer. The martial arts exam only started for half a day, and it was forced to terminate. This is an annual event for mankind, involving a large number of people. Who has no children? The annual martial arts exams involve almost all walks of life in Daxia. However, this year's martial arts exam was a little different. A large-scale geological movement suddenly occurred in the mysterious realm of One Beast Mountain, and the safe areas previously divided by humans were all confused. Although it was still found in time, how could a group of high school students enter the mysterious realm of One Beast Mountain in a disordered area? When the education department discovered the problem, half a day had passed. In the following half day, the news of the termination of the martial arts test and the problem of the martial arts test site swept all walks of life like a storm. The scope is too broad, and this news cannot be hidden at all. After all, the Daxia divisions also have employees' children participating in this martial arts exam. JAKO candidates are only a group of martial artist reserve soldiers. After entering the secret realm with the secret realm teleportation device through the martial arts examination, they can only be pulled back by the imprint of the present after the teleportation is activated again after 7 days. If it was less than 7 days, their bodies would not be able to withstand multiple teleportation in a short period of time. The top officials of Daxia urgently used the highest level secret realm teleportation device, and sent a large number of warriors to the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beast Mountains to rescue the candidates as much as possible. Almost all the warriors who reached a certain level of strength in the entire Daxia were dispatched, and they entered the secret realm of One Beast Mountain for the first time to rescue. Millions of warriors spent a whole night conducting a carpet-like search in the area controlled by the original human beings in the mysterious realm of 10,000 beasts, and successfully rescued 768,361 candidates. This number is less than half of the total number of candidates for this martial arts test. After all, the scope of the martial arts test is the entire summer. This is because the problem was discovered in a timely manner. Otherwise, fewer candidates would be rescued. Due to the large-scale geological changes, the geographical location in the mysterious realm of 10,000 beasts is changing all the time. The basic network of the mysterious realm set up by humans has completely collapsed, and it is no longer possible to locate each candidate through their watches. After the 760,000 candidates were rescued, the positions of the remaining candidates have been scattered, and some of them have already suffered an accident. The large-scale geological changes also forced some powerful monsters to leave their original territory, which had a great impact on rescue operations. Many of the original patrolling warriors also lost contact. The director of the Department of Education walked through the woods, relying on the strong perception of warriors, constantly monitoring the situation within a radius of 3 miles around him. Once he found a candidate nearby, he would immediately go to rescue and send the candidate back to the world. He has been running non-stop for half a day and a night. During this period, he encountered powerful monsters and successfully rescued many candidates. Running, sensing, fighting, rescuing. For half a day and a night, his mind has been in a state of high tension, and even at his current state, he is already very tired. But he couldn't stop, and he didn't dare to stop. Because once he stops, those candidates who have not yet been found may die tragically in the mouth of monsters or at the hands of monsters. Time is life. He, the director of the education department, is to blame for such a major flaw in the martial arts exam. He can accept any punishment afterward, but now, when he thinks that there are still a large number of young candidates in a very dangerous situation, he cannot stop down. At the very least, save some more. In half a day and one night, the director of the education department rescued nearly 7,000 candidates with his powerful strength. But it's not enough. Nearly 60% of the candidates did not find it. He can't stop. Children, I'm sorry, you must hold on. The director of the education department had a strong sense of guilt in his heart, which almost drowned him. On the first day of the martial arts exam, at the end of the night, he rescued nearly 7,000 candidates. However, the next day, it was almost noon, and he only rescued nearly 300 people. It's not that he is not strong, but that the mysterious realm of Myriad Beast Mountain is too big, and the remaining candidates are too scattered. Coupled with the extremely secret large-scale geological changes that are still going on in the mysterious realm of 10,000 Beast Mountains, the geographical location is changing all the time, making rescue more and more difficult. Yunchinj No. 1 Middle School. In the classroom of Class 3 and 4 of Senior High School. The head teacher Lee Bindeo stood on the podium with deep exhaustion in his eyes. He had a strong smell that was hard to dissipate on his body, and he also participated in this rescue. But because of getting older, and having been seriously injured in his early years, his chi and blood were not strong, so he was forced to return to this world after only persevering in the middle of the night. Although he also wanted to continue the rescue, he knew very well that if he persisted, he would probably become the object of rescue, that would only cause trouble for the rescue operation, so he was very wise back out. Fortunately, the students in his class seemed to have good luck. By the time it was dawn, almost all the students in the class had been rescued. Although they still had a look of horror on their faces, it was a good thing that they didn't die. Classmates, the teacher knows that you are very scared now, and you really want to go home, but you can't. Lee Bindeo said in a hoarse voice, "We still have 2 classmates who haven't come back, please wait for a while at school." He was trying his best to appease the emotions of the students, and asked the students to wait in the school for a period of time until the rescue operation was over to count the casualties. The same is true for other classes. The students who have been rescued are sitting quietly in the classroom, recalling the terrifying images they encountered in the mysterious realm of the Mountain of Beasts, and waiting. Some teachers who are not suitable for rescue, or have consumed a lot of blood and cannot continue the rescue operation, are trying their best to appease the emotions of the students. There were 46 students in Class 3 and 4 of Senior High School, and 44 have come back now. While reassuring the students, Lee Bindeo looked at the only 2 vacant seats in the classroom. The remaining 2 students did not come back. Class leader Liang Shixian, and classmate Gruo. And a voice broadcast? Not bad, this one is enough for an undergraduate degree. Gruo muttered happily. Yu reading www.yuugonshu.com. Normally, the martial arts test venue will be cleaned up before the test starts. In theory, candidates will only encounter monsters or monsters that are less than or equal to the strength of a 6th-level martial artist. But not absolutely. There will still be some special situations, such as some monsters and monsters temporarily breaking through to higher levels, or high-level monsters and monsters from other areas intruding indiscriminately. In the martial arts exam, a similar situation is called exceeding the outline exam questions. In previous years' martial arts exams, nearly 10% of the mortality rate, and nearly 30% were due to encountering exceeded exam questions. Danger is definitely dangerous, but if it can be successfully killed, the reward will naturally be very high. The score calculation method of Wu Cao is a bit complicated. But according to Gruo's understanding, exceeding the syllabus exam question, in theory, is equivalent to getting 150 points in a certain college entrance examination that he took in his previous life. That is a perfect score for an exam. An ordinary goblin lord, under normal circumstances, is equivalent to the level of a human warrior of the 8th level. And this one can even speak words, its strength must be higher, and it may even reach the level of a 9th level martial artist. Gee, if this is purely a leak, of course I am happy. Of course, the strength of this goblin lord is only his own guess, and he doesn't know how strong the opponent actually is. After all, when he met him, this guy was already on the verge of death. Even if he didn't slap that iron sand palm, this guy wouldn't be able to live for long. So, Gruo doesn't know what level of strength this guy is. He only knew one thing, that this guy triggered the voice broadcast of the watch. It must be an exceeded exam question.